What's up, everyone? This is Minnesota Mike back with you for another video. This is another one in my vlog series that I do through the Memphis Songwriters Association. I write a blog for them, and you can find that on memphissongwritersassociation.org. Then what I do is I make these videos, and those videos break down what goes on in the blog. So all of my vlogs are about songwriting and what has made certain songs work over the years, what has worked for various artists, and what can work for you as a songwriter wherever you're at in your journey. So we've looked at a handful of different rhyme schemes. We have looked at A rhyme scheme, talking about Sarah by Bob Dylan. We have looked at A B rhyme scheme. And we looked at All I Wanted Was a Car by Brad Paisley for that one. And in our last one, we looked at AABB rhyme scheme. And we looked at Monday Morning Church by Alan Jackson for guidance on how to do an AABB rhyme scheme effectively. Next, we're going to shift gears into an AABBA rhyme scheme, also known as a limerick meter. In this particular rhyme scheme, the first two lines rhyme with each other, and then the next two lines rhyme with each other, and the last line rhymes with the first one. We're going to chat about Acela by Fountains of Wayne. So it should be noted that typically I try not to talk about the same group or artist in two consecutive blogs or vlogs, but I also wanted this one to contain a set of songs that got me paying attention to rhyme scheme and not just listening to the songs for the aesthetic experience. I have pretty extensive experience with limerick meter. When rhyming in songs, it's always important to pay attention to where the syllable stress falls. And part of what makes limerick writing so difficult, but challenging in a really good way, is when certain rhymes, or certain names, I should say, have stress on the first syllable. I write limericks for my students every year for Valentine's Day, and so that's why I bring up the name thing. But just in general, sometimes it's hard to rhyme with certain words that have stress on maybe the first syllable or something along those lines. But in this particular song, the simple and fast-paced lyrics of Acela makes the limerick meter work. So lyrically, this particular song is about a guy who's trying to reconnect with lost love on the Acela train. For those of you who need the point of reference, the Acela train travels up and down the East Coast. A lot of my knowledge of East Coast geography comes from Fountains of Wayne. You can take that however you want. But if you're looking to bulk up, like I said, on all things East Coast, definitely give them a listen. Although there are some assonance rhymes in there, such as headed to Massachusetts, so the to and Massachu rhyme, it still follows the limerick cadence very closely throughout the verse and the pre-chorus/chorus. For example, the pre-chorus/hook says, "And it's entertaining by New Haven once you've had yourself a drink or two. Shot to hell on the Acela, tell me, baby, where the hell are you?" Also of note, the way that he says hell rhymes with a cell, so a Acela, like that. And if not for the catchiness, I'd be a little bit more offended by him not singing entertainin' and New Haven, but he says entertaining by New Haven. The bridge to this song is slightly irregular with its rhyme scheme, as the first line is a standalone. From there, it uses the ABBA in the first part, where the first and last lines rhyme with each other, and the middle two lines rhyme with each other, while the second part to the bridge uses an AAAA rhyme scheme, as seen below. So it's broken up into two parts with the bridges. So they say in the first part, when they called all aboard, you were nowhere to be found. So when they called all aboard stands on its own. You were nowhere to be found, though you swore you were sure. So swore and sure rhyme with each other, and then you'd come with me out of town rhymes with the word found. The second part to it with the AAAA rhyme scheme, and I looked in all the stores, I looked in Hudson News, searched for any sign of you, but you had not left any clues. I was so confused. What was I supposed to do? So news rhymes with you rhymes with clues rhymes with confused, and do rhymes with confused. Obviously, all of those rhyme with each other. Melodically, this particular song is very much a 2011 rock song with its up-tempo, catchy guitar, light drums, heavy bass, and piano complementing. Lead electric guitar comes in to fill throughout the song as well, including some distorted power chords during the bridge. The song is in C major, and it moves between C, which is the one chord, and the F, which is the four chord for the verse, except for the end of the last line that goes to the G chord, and that's the five chord. Structurally, the song follows a verse, refrain, bridge, verse, refrain structure. The first part of the refrain repeats melodically, but with different lyrics after each verse. The bridge comes in after the second verse slash hook, which is very necessary. Although this is a very catchy song, it's also very repetitive, and like a train's motion, it's repetitive, like I said, so it needs something to break up the monotony. In my analysis of Action Hero by Fountains of Wayne, which was also written by Adam Schlesinger, the bass player for the band, I mentioned how Adam was a master at knowing the moment. This included genre, the project he was working on, and also things like rhyme scheme and structure within songs. Although this particular song probably would have been fine without a bridge since it's so catchy, he knew it needed something to change it up for the listener. The bridge ends with a very dissonant chord on the second guitar that doesn't provide closure, and that leads perfectly into a solo followed by that last verse. It's just a masterfully crafted song. Acela is linked below, and for a fuller glimpse of Adam's prowess as a songwriter, go back to my last blog about character development, where you can hear a full slate of what made Adam such a fabulous songwriter. I want to shout out, before I preview my next blog and vlog series, I want to shout out once again my friend Mark Lauterbach, who again is not a songwriter himself, but a great appreciator of music and the craft behind it. And he was actually the one who suggested this rhyme scheme blog, and so there was plenty more to talk about here, and I'm sure we'll revisit this at some point. But in my next blog, I will revisit something I touched on briefly in my analysis of River by Joni Mitchell, and that's writing on assignment. So please do tune in for that one. That'll drop on May 29th, and then June 5th will be the last of the vlogs in that particular series. Obviously, I'll have the two vlogs like I normally do on the 29th as well. So once again, I am Minnesota Mike. Thank you so much for tuning in, and we'll see you next time.